What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at St. Vitus for the second day in a row, and we return with the Convalescence. Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. So now that you're into the later portion of the This Is Hell cycle, now have people been processing the record more, and you've been incorporating more new songs into the set?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we on the last tour or so, we started playing "I Won't Survive," which is kind of a newer, weirder kind of song for us to play because we've always been, heavy metal, trying to play just the heaviest, most high energy stuff we could, and that song's a lot slower and a lot of clean vocals and a lot of keyboard stuff, and so it's been new for us to play something like that. We brought back some old stuff that we haven't played in a while, and put together a set that we thought was, promoting the new album, but still playing the older stuff that people know as well, and we've had a great reaction with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's curious because I really wanted to make this kind of like the vocal one because, you played with really heavy bands. Like, the last time I saw you guys was with Venom Inc. and Goat Whore and Toxic Holocaust. Yeah. And then I know you did a couple tour dates with the Faceless, and you just played Incarceration Festival with Devil Driver. I'd imagine, playing with those bands, you kind of maybe make the set list a little bit on the heavier side?
Actually, the Faceless dates, we played "I Won't Survive" on the first Faceless date that we did.
Yeah.
But I think, Incarceration, we were one of the heavier bands there. Black Label Society and Clutch were the headliners, and there was Seven Dust, and, Soil played right before us on our stage and stuff like that. So it was a lot of rock bands as well as a lot of heavy bands like Devil Driver and Hatebreed and Suicidal Tendencies and stuff, and so we had the discussion in the green room before we went on, what are we gonna play? And we just decided to pick all our heaviest stuff and just go out swinging on that and just see what happened, just to set ourselves apart a little bit further than just the makeup and everything. And it turned out really good. We played in front of a couple thousand people, and it was a fantastic show.
Which is awesome. And I'd imagine you maybe, depending on the bills you're on, is there maybe, a different reaction?
Oh, yeah. Depending on, and when we're headlining, it's, people that know about the band, people that know the songs, and they come out and they, check it out and whatever. And a lot of people that have seen us before that want to come back out. But when we're on a support tour, when we went out with Venom and Goat Horror, we do, a festival like Incarceration or something, it's not just our fans. It's fans of these other bands that have never even heard our name before, or have heard the name and never really checked out the band or anything like that. So it's you have to kind of think about that, but at the same time you don't want to change what you're doing too much, because then when they come see a headline and they're like, what the fuck is this? So so you just kind of do your own thing, but at the same time you got to kind of keep it in mind, the Venom Goat Horror tour, that was kind of rough for us a lot of nights, because we're not in that genre with them,
Well, I thought it was cool because, to see you play in front of different audiences, it's definitely a risk worth taking.
Yeah, I know. And going from the OTEP tour to the Testament tour, back to the OTEP tour, and then to the Venom tour was totally different ball game every time going out. And we got great reactions on all those tours in certain areas, and other areas, depending on the tour, maybe wasn't so good, or just depended on the scene in the area and whatever. But it's
keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
Now, This Is Hell is the fourth or fifth record in the Convalescence discography?
Yeah, it's the fifth.
Okay. So by now at this point, do you guys kind of have a formula that you work with in the songwriting process, and you kind of go into the studio knowing what to do, or have you always taken a new approach in the songwriting process?
Well, the last couple records we just booked studio time, and we didn't write any songs, and we just went in there and improv'd This Is Hell, and we improv'd Poison Words as well.
Really?
And so those were just on the fly, no pre-production, no songwriting, everybody just had a few riffs and stuff, and it was okay, here we go. And we just, within 2 weeks, wrote and recorded the whole record.
Wow.
So
that's impressive. So you had no preconceived idea for This Is Hell?
No, not really.
Were
we
you
had a really rough version of Scum and a really rough version of No Way Out, and that was it.
Were you at all nervous going into that?
It's it's a little bit of pressure, but it's good pressure. Okay, my guys wrote like some really cool shit on the fly here, so like I'm expected to do the same with the lyrics and like stuff like that. But I gotta wait for the songs to be done.
Yeah.
You know, and it's cool. You know, having all the members, because there's a lot of our members of our band. Pretty much everybody in our band plays other instruments than what they play in the band as well. So everybody jumps in, everybody helps write, and everybody's involved in the process to come up with these songs. And then the lyrics have to come at the end, so it's like, you know, I'm scrambling. I think I wrote all the lyrics for This Is Hell in a day and a half.
Wow.
So it was
Damn.
like sitting there with headphones on, just keep writing.
You need to hear the music in order to come up with a lyrical concept,
I
right?
do, yeah. I know some other people don't. Everybody has a different way of doing things, but
Yeah, well, to each his own.
Yeah, that's me. I got to hear the song, and once I hear the song, stuff just starts popping in my head and go from there.
Absolutely. Popping like that clicking noise that we're hearing in there.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah, I want to write. That's like a blast beat if I've ever heard one. But
Slow blast beat.
yeah, but being that Convalescence has like very death metal, and then you have melodic vocals, like a song like Reflections, which is really like melodic, and then you have songs like Scum that are like really heavy, and you have symphonic elements. The Convalescence has never really been a band that has been afraid to experiment, right? Especially since you improv'd the whole last record.
I mean, we're all from such different backgrounds of like music, and we all listen to so many different kinds of music, and you know, with the whole like the paint and the blood and everything, we know that we're the weird band there automatically.
Mhm.
So what do we really got to lose than just, you know, let's write some music that we want to hear and go play it, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's really what it started out being, and what it's continued to be is we're a bunch of metalheads that write shit that we'd want to listen to. You know, we're not sitting there thinking like, oh, this is too deathcore, or this is too death metal, or oh, I don't know if we can get away with doing that or whatever. Just do it and put it out. And if people talk shit, people talk shit. If people buy it and they like it, and cool.
It's awesome. And yeah, and you mentioned like the face paint, because the first time I Googled you guys when I first heard of you guys, and I saw I was like, oh, this band must be like black metal or something like that. And I was curious to the image of the Convalescence, because to me, like, your shows are just like, I get an image from listening to you guys, especially with the face paint. Like, there's definitely a difference between seeing you guys live and hearing you guys on the record.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Have you developed like an image for this face paint and the imagery for the Convalescence after you started writing music, or did you always have
Actually, we didn't start doing that until our second record.
Wow.
So like the first EP that we had out, it was super metalcore, like super like, there was a lot of clean vocals and like weird little like poppy parts and stuff. Like, it was like metalcore, like, you know, it sounded like we were trying to go like jump on Warped Tour or something. And the next album after that was like straight up deathcore, and we just wanted to put on a show. Like, we didn't want to be every other band, jeans and t-shirt up there, just like, you know, oh yeah, check out my band, and then everybody forgets who you are and whatever. And we wanted to put on a show because, you know, I grew up listening to like Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, you know, King Diamond, all that stuff, and they put on a show. Yeah. And their artwork is cool, and like, you want to have every shirt because they're all cool, and you want to have like the physical album because it's got cool shit in there, and it makes it more of an experience as opposed to just like, check us out on Spotify. Yeah. You know, and I was never really been a fan of that. I still buy records and everything, and it's just we wanted to do more than just, hey, we're a band.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we started experimenting with it, and then we've been kind of adapting it to look a little bit better and to be a bit of a bigger show as we've been able to. From album to album, we always switch up at least a few things up.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's funny because, as I mentioned before, it was definitely a different experience for me listening to you guys versus seeing you guys live. I'd imagine when you guys are like in the studio making music, when you bring those songs live, it must be a different vibe and experience for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, because when we're writing and we're improvising it, like, it's almost like write the song, record the song, and then when it's done, you got to go learn the song. So, you know, because it might be, you know, a whole song might be just Zach plays all the guitars and everything, or the next song, you know, maybe it's a lot of like Katie's keyboards, and then we write kind of around that, or whatever. So, I mean, it's not necessarily each member sitting there writing their own parts for every song. It's like, I got an idea, check this out, and just do it. And then at the end, it's like, okay, this is how you play this part. Show me the part you wrote, and like stuff like that. So we don't really know what it's going to be like live until we actually get into the rehearsal space before that first tour for that album cycle and actually jam it out as a full band.
Wow.
So
That's impressive.
we just kind of pick songs we think are going to be good, and we're like, I hope we picked right.
Yeah.
So,
It's the luck of the draw. It keeps it interesting.
yeah, and we try to switch it up through the album cycle and, play at least most of each album through it. I mean, there's always those few songs that you're just like, I don't think that's going to be a very good live song.
Yeah.
And it's just cool on the record.
Especially like those like weird like 2.5 minute instrumental songs that may not be that lead up to the next song.
Yeah. Like you don't play that.
Yeah.
But
And the final question I wanted to ask, I believe I asked Katie and Charles this, but we just interviewed Ringworm yesterday, and being an Ohio band, and you guys coming from Ohio, right? Cleveland or
Toledo.
Toledo. Oh, different than Cleveland, but
Yeah.
but the Ohio metal scene in general, from what I was reading about, I mean, Chimera, Nine Inch Nails, Mushroom Head, Ringworm, you name it, like. So, did you guys were you a band that kind of like maybe cut your teeth in like a local scene in Ohio, or were you a band that kind of had to go outside their state in order to?
I mean, like, I got into the Toledo scene when I was like 14, 15 years old, playing in like just a high school band with my friends, and we were playing deathcore and stuff, and what was kind of funny is we experimented with the makeup in that band, and we were just kids, like learning whatever, but we got into the scene, we learned some stuff, and a lot of those guys decided, I don't want to do this, and they moved on to other shit or whatever. But, I really just loved playing shows and wanted to continue. So I got in another band called Blood of the Prophets, who actually just released an album not that long ago. But we did a lot of touring. Like, we did a lot in the local scene around Toledo, but we did a ton of touring, which is where I kind of made some of the connections and met some of the people to get this project up and going. And there was a falling out between me and that band. And I started the Convalescence, because I wasn't going to stop doing this.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do something different than what we had been doing, but I still wanted to tour as much and be as active and everything. So when the Convalescence actually came out, like, we didn't do too much local stuff. We just went straight to tour. Like,
wow.
I think we only played like 4 shows before we started touring.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't hear that often.
And we just, because I didn't want to start over. Like, my thing is I was like, fuck it, I have the connections to book a tour. Let's book a tour. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Like, why sit around in our local scene? And, I already know all these people that come to the local shows. I'll still invite them out to our local shows. But, so I guess I kind of made my name in the local scene in Toledo with my old band prior to starting this band.
Okay.
So we had a little momentum right when we started, and we used that to start touring immediately.
Which is awesome.
So
yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time.
of course, man.
Yeah. Just the usual. You have this small run of headlining shows. What can we be expecting from the Convalescence towards the end of 2018, going into 2019?
We have. We're about halfway through this tour. We're doing a couple more headline dates here in New York. We're up in Rochester in a couple days with Forces and Alaka, and then we're going into Canada for Guelph Death Fest with Hideous Divinity and Depths of Hatred, and then we're meeting back up with the Faceless and Lorna Shore and Discarnate for I think 10 or 11 dates or something like that. And
yeah,
then,
they're playing tonight.
I know, they're right down the street.
Yep.
I know.
Yeah.
But so we're doing more dates with them across the South, and then some headline dates back to Michigan Metal Fest with Whitechapel. So that'll cap off this tour. And we do have something planned for around Halloween and also for this winter overseas.
Oh, really?
So it'll be good to get back over there and see some of the new friends we made.
Awesome.
And hopefully all goes well.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Well, always great to see you guys. Looking
sure,
forward
man.
to the show tonight. Everybody,
Definitely, man.
we are here with the Convalescence. Pick up This Is Hell if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time, and it'll most likely be at St. Vitus.